Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Eric. Today is August 13th, 2025. I am your host of Success Over Stress. Thanks to everybody who's new in the building. I welcome you to learn, laugh with me. I laugh at myself. You gotta be honest with yourself, but you also have to be have some humility, right? So, I mean, we're not perfect. We'll never be perfect, but we can try. We can try, and I am guilty of trying. I am so guilty of trying. Sometimes I give it my all. Sometimes I give it my all. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk quickly about. I was looking at the chart earlier today, and as the market was moving, I said, I want to know exactly where the orders are. I want to know where orders over such and such size is. So I need to track that. And once I track that, I print it, then I can pull it up and I can use it at a later date. So you saw that text file there. Here's essentially where I do a lot of my analysis. I do a lot of my kind of plotting and critiquing at. But you can see here, I do have paint bars that plot on the chart on the candles if we have volume over a certain amount. So you see here we have volume over a certain amount. I guess this was a bid. It's green, so it's a bid. Here, this would have been an ask because it's magenta. But this just means that we had a large order here. However, if you look here, you see that these times here were, so we had price, we made new highs for the day, and then we retraced down. And as we retraced down, this here was when President Trump spoke. I don't know what he said. I didn't follow it, but you see we have large. You see this candle here. It's painted magenta, but it was an ask that was 376. Order size is 376. Again, we're looking at futures, so these are contract sizes. So these are contracts. These aren't shares, but 376. But here we have magenta. It's also obviously referencing the ask, but they weren't of size 376. They were more like 100 or something like that. So what I need to do is I want to make a script that shows what that largest size was, right? Because if you look down here, you can see that this script that I made here is a cumulative orders, right? So this 376 that came in here, if you look over to the right, 376 would have came in here, right in here, but we had some additional ask orders that brought that 376, that total high there of around 660 or so. But like I said, I want to be able to tell that 376 was in here. So, and I think I do have another script somewhere that shows you where the high is. And so maybe I'll just modify this script here, but I'm going to end up making a global dictionary that can pull out this 376. They can pull out this 150, right? So if we have volumes above a certain amount, then it will just plot those bars, or it will make labels. And so I can do that. And I think I had another video that's very similar. So if we had orders, and actually I'll show you my other chart. If we had orders over a certain size, it would give you this number. And then for every order that was also on that bar that was also an ask, it would put, so if this was 376, we had another large order that was over 150, say it was 200, it will put 200 here. It will put 220 there, and put 215 there. And that way you can see stacked that we have a bunch of large orders hitting the ask right here. Okay, and I use that as kind of a partial litmus to kind of show where we were going or what would be a good target. So that 376 was in here. And if you draw a line across the chart, somewhere in that 376 range, what did price do? It came back, even sooner. It reacted here, came back up, reacted, held, dropped, reacted. Okay, so I think that those levels are important. So we were at 376. These are my large orders here. So I did restart my system somewhere around 10 o'clock or so. but you see the 376 right here at 1040. Okay, so going back from 1020 up to 1040, that was the largest that we had, was 376. And look at this, from 1040 all the way up to 2 o'clock, 1140, 1240, 140, up to 2 o'clock. A couple hours later, we didn't have any other large orders, at least as large as 150, until 2 o'clock. So what happened between 1040 and 2 o'clock? Well, let's go back and look at it. So from 1040 was our time here, up until 2 o'clock was all the way over, way over here. Way over here. And I guess that's this guy in here, right? But like I said, I want to be able to see visually on the chart that that was our next 150. Okay, so if we zoom out on that, so we got our 376 here, and then we got our, at around 2 o'clock, so in here somewhere, we got our next large order. So there's a lot of consolidation, drop, consolidation, drop, drop again. There's a lot happening here. And then price, once it got done with all that, after this 2 o'clock time, is when it decided to make a move above, you know, any of this dropping. So anyway, and then we came back and retested here back into that news bar. Okay, so that's why I like to keep my news bars up on the chart. So whenever somebody speaks or whenever there's something going on, I have a rectangle that goes directly across the chart. That also is a script. It just goes across the chart until we're done for the day. And I think I have it set up to where it will show that bar for a number of days based on where I want to put it at. Okay, so here again on the 5-minute chart, now it's using the 5-minute candle. When price comes up, retraces back down into that 5-minute bar of liquidity, that 5-minute rectangle of liquidity, box of liquidity, if you will. All right, the rest of these lines here are these magenta lines are prior days VWAP. So then we have volume profile here, and then the blue on the side. These levels here are swing levels. This is when we have larger swing levels with multiple points, 3, 4 points, 3 touches, 3 touches, 3 touches, 3 touches. This here, what was this? Prior, oh, it's a daily high. Okay, so this red line right here was a daily high, and this is what I actually traded against today. Well, I traded up here and I took some L's, and I finally, anyway, today was an L day. Well, I mean, it was a break-even day for me, but it's not how I should have traded at all. But anyway, I ended up using this and this profile here was my demand for the day. All right, so a prior day high and then a volume profile node here. Okay, all right, so let's get to what we were looking for today, and hopefully I can make it a little bit quick. I'll give you the cheat sheet here. So again, today I'm interested in volume. Okay, so are we at the bid? Are we at the ask? What was the time, and what was the size? Okay. All right. So where is my development environment? Okay. All right. So let's see if I can do this somewhat seamless. It's a very basic script. Okay, so this is what it looks like if you want to get ahead of me. That's what it looks like. All right, so, but again, if anybody knows or follows any of the stuff that I do, I will do it from scratch. Just kind of show you the thought process and let you struggle through it with me for a little bit. All right, so we're going to call this one YT0813. 1325. And that's how I will reference it. This is Okay. All right. So let's get rid of, well, I don't know if I need to get rid of it all, but I know I won't be using a workbook nor a vector. So we will go to the toolbox. We're going to add a time and sales provider. Time and sales provider is going to give us all of the trades that happen. So we're going to call it TASP. I'm going to leave it as false right now. That way that when we do an update, that the update won't try to update before we actually have the darn thing loaded. Okay, so we're going to leave this as false. The symbol will be whatever symbol we're currently on. We're going to be looking at trades. We won't be looking at bids or asks. Okay, so what I want to do is we're going to go over here to the events provider. Like I said, I already double clicked there, so that gave us a method event handler. And when we come into an updated event, say we have a new sale, a new trade that happened, we need to first identify that we do have an actual trade that happened. So you see here, we're using under the namespace of market data. So to make it a little bit easier, we just go here and add that namespace. And then we can say, if we get into the method event handler, we can say if args.reason equals time and sales update reason dot added, then begin end. All right, so what do we want to do? All right, one of the things that we want to do, the idea behind this script is that we will be adding each. So I don't want to print to the file every single time. You can, but I don't want to print to the file every single time. That means that we're calling the text file multiple times, and I just want to call it fewer times so that we're not taxing the system as much. So we're going to be adding a string together for each bar of orders size larger than a filter. Okay, so what is the filter going to be? So we have a file name. The filter is going to be filter. That'll be a size. We'll just say it's got to be greater than 5 contracts. The file name, let's see, I have a file name already set up. Let's use this one. This one is already open. There's nothing here. We'll call this first bar. We'll save it. You don't want to save like that? Get plus orders, save, why not? Used by another process? Is that right? Okay, well, something is using it and it shouldn't be. Okay. Well, that's the reason why I was having issues with it before, so that's fine. Let us go and create a new one. So I'm just creating a text file in a folder. And I want to name it YT. Okay. Now when I open it up, you see it's called YT text. So we're just going to put, first bar, save that, go ahead and close it. I'm going to go and I'm going to right click it. I know you can't see this, but I'm just right clicking it and I'm saying copy the path. Okay, so when I copy the path, I'll put that path in file name, paste. That's my file name. That's what I'm going to use to save to. All right, so when I get ready to save, I will print to this file. Anything that has a filter over that size. Okay, so now if we do have an updated reason, updated time and sales event, then we need to check if the size is greater than that filter size. So if args.data.size is greater than or equal to iFilter, then what? Then we're going to have a string called order string, we're going to add to this string. I was going to use a vector. I was using a vector initially, but then I don't want to go through the process of going through a loop to loop out and save the data to the text. Okay, so it's just much easier just to use a string. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say that order string, we're going to plus equals. So we're going to add to this string. We're going to add a few things. We're going to add the bar date time. We're going to add whatever size it is, and then we need to add if it's a bid or ask. So to get the first one, we'll do, let's use string.format. That way it's easier to process. Now, one of the things I found myself doing earlier was I didn't format this right, and I was getting errors, and it wasn't printing, and it was doing a bunch of funny stuff, and it was just because I didn't put this right. Okay, so what I did was I did 0, 1, 2, and then I put my comma, and then I did bar date time dot to string, and then I did the args dot size, and then I did whatever order type. So we're saying whether or not it was a bid or ask. That's going to be a string. I'm going to clarify that later. But this right here is, and then I did plus new line. And this is not quite good enough because you're printing, your string is 0, 1, 2, but in order to use string format, these have to be in curly brackets. Okay, so with the exception of putting everything in curly brackets, that was making my program not work. So something simple, but we put that in curly brackets. Now we got the bar date time, we have the comma, so it'll be comma delimited. That way when we come back and we use this information later, it will already be comma delimited. We can add it to a token list, and then we can process it much quicker. And actually, we could have made this a token list instead of a string, and that would have been fine too. Instead of a vector, I could have used a token list. That's probably what I was thinking about earlier when I was putting it together. But anyway, so order string. So order string plus, so like I said, we will be getting our bar date time, our size, our order type, and then it will put us a new line. And then, like I said, that's a string. Print it out, new line. Print it out, new line. Print out, new line. But I'm not going to print this out right here. I'm just adding to it. I'm adding to it. So whatever bar we're on, I'm steadily adding to this order string. And then if we get to our final tick of the bar, so if bar status of that first that first data, I forget what you call it. The first data stream. If bar status of one of first data stream is the final tick, then begin, end. We want to print whatever we have in that order string, and I like doing a lot of things in methods, so forgive me. I could have done it down in the body, but I didn't. So how are we going to print it? We're going to use file append, and then you see we need the file name there and then the text. So the file name is going to be file name, and then the text is going to be whatever's in the order string. Now, after we've already printed this to our file, what do we need to do? We need to clear the order string variable so that we can start adding new stuff to it from the subsequent calls of the time and sales provider. Okay, so now the only thing that we're missing is the order type. So whether or not it was a bid or an ask, right? So the order type here. All right, so to determine the order type, this is the way I do it. You guys could do it a different way. This is the way I do it. Order type will be a string. Okay, and the string, we'll start off with it being null. Okay, and we have a new order added. So if the, let's see, we got our begin end here. Okay, so if the price, say we have an ask above and bid below. If the ask was the last price to be hit, if it hits the ask again, then it's still an ask. But if it hits lower, then it's a bid. So if it's the same price, then it's going to be whatever it was before. And if it's higher, then it will be an ask. If it's the same price, then it'll be whatever order type it was before. Or if it was lower, it will be a bid. Okay, so we need to find something that will hold our price also. So we need to have a double last price. Okay, so our last price will be here, args data dot price. Now, before we store this price, we're going to use, because we're just storing the last price, so we're going to assess whether or not the last price that was last used, we're going to compare it to whatever is the newest price. Okay, so if last price is greater than, or if our new price, which is args.data.price, is greater than last price, then order type is equal to ask. Okay, now if args.data.price is less than last price, then order type equals bid. Otherwise, we're just gonna leave order type alone, so it'll essentially be what it was before. Okay. Now we're gonna say our args.data.price is going to be equal to our new last price, or our hold price, if you will. Okay, so now we have our order type, last price. All right, we have our last price up here. Last price needs to be inch bar persist, since we're changing it within our method event handler. This is within a tick of a bar. This last price needs to be an inch bar persist. Okay, and order type also needs to be inch bar persist, because we're changing it within this. Okay, now I think that's it. Let's verify, see what issues we have. Close that quotations. args.data.size. All right, no errors. So again, we're going to open up YouTube YT. You see the first bar there. All right, so we're going to come over here, and then we're going to add this to our YT OH 1325. Okay, and you see it's added there. All right, so let's open up our, not just bar status being the final bar. We also need it to be a new bar. It needs to be a new bar on the chart. Otherwise, we're just going to get a bunch of blanks being printed here. Or there'll be something printed there. All right, so if bar status equals 2 and last X. Then X print, file append, file name, order string clears out. Okay. All right, right now, because we're after hours, we're probably not getting a lot of values over 5. They're 1, 2, 1. We do have a 7 here. So let's move this. Let's move this filter down. And we'd probably have better luck with it on like NQ, because NQ I think has larger sizes. The big point value, the point value is less, and so there's larger contract sizes. All right, so it should still be running, still running. All right, let's see. Nothing printed yet. Let's see, we got some action now. What size orders are we getting in? 1s and 2s. That was 3201, 59, 58, 57. So we've got a couple 2, 3s, and 4s here. So let's see if anything printed. Nothing printed? All right, so what did we do wrong? I'll start with that, closing that, and then open it back up. All right, so if args that reason, time and sales that update reason. Oh, yeah, that added. Args that reason is that added begin. Args data that price is greater than last price. Then order type is equal to ask. If it's less, then order type is equal to bid. Last price is equal to args.data.price. If args.data.size is greater than or equal to I filter. And that filter, like I said, I thought we brought that down. The filter is 2. Okay. If the size is greater than the filter, then order string plus equals string format of squiggly line 0, 1, 2, bar date time, string, args.data.size, and then order type plus new line. Okay, and. If bar status of 1 is equal to 2 and last X, then we're going to print. X print, file pin, I file name. Oh, we didn't change the file name. And that's the funny thing about changing the file name from an input. From an input, it won't change the file name on the chart. It will show up here, but it doesn't change it on the chart. So I could change this right here 1,000 times and re-verify it 1,000 times, but what's going to show up on the chart will still be whatever it was when you first put it on. Yeah, well, it is on the right thing though. So I may have put the input and this all at the same time. But this will typically, whenever you're on the chart, your input will typically be whatever was first on the chart when you first added it to the chart. All right, so well, clearly we got some data sizes greater than the 2. Let me scroll down. There's nothing. There's nothing all the way down at the end or at the beginning. This was acting funny for me a little bit here earlier today, though. The printing. The printing. Bar status of 1 is equal to 2. And it's not like it's adding empty lines. It's just not adding anything. Unless, you know what we did, guys? We didn't activate this. Okay, so this is one of the things that I've noticed in the past. Like I said, when you're using data providers, you really need to make sure the data providers are loaded, right? Before you use a method event handler. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you're doing something like with a vector and the vector and the method event handler is calling on the vector, then you can't use the method event. Now, the method event handler, as soon as you start the chart up, this will be firing off. This will be firing off. This will be firing off. And if you're using a vector or something that is used within the method event handler, but it hasn't yet been instantiated, hasn't yet been initialized, then when you're using this method event handler that starts firing off as soon as you open the chart up, it's going to be asking this vector to do something, but it's going to say, hey, a reference to an object. There's a reference to an object that has not been created or something like that, because the vector hasn't yet been instantiated or initialized. And so it doesn't have a vector. It doesn't have a vector, but it's already started calling on this method. So that's why, like I said, I used to always go ahead and turn on my, I would always go ahead and turn on my, I'm done, A to Z here. Okay, there you go. in the past, I would always load this immediately. And now I'm a little bit more, I'm more aware of what's happening, why it's happening, and the order of events. And so I don't turn this on unless I need it on. Okay, so that's why I said like, this is false right now. All right, so what I'll say is, for instance, if you had something down here, if you were calling on a vector, you would say if vector X actually exists, if it exists, then you can go ahead and load your task provider, your time and sales provider. Okay, so we don't really have that situation right now, so we can just go ahead and do task.load equals true. But you see, we're only loading this if we've already gotten to the last bar on the chart, if we have gotten to a final tick of a bar. We don't need to wait till a final tick of a bar, so we'll just say if we're on the last bar of the chart, then we can go ahead and load our task. All right, so I verified that. All right, now we come over here and let's wait for us to get some actual action. And then we'll see that we had a print to the, you see there's a 2. Okay. All right, so even though we got a 2 and a 3, this is only supposed to print when we get to the final bar of the chart. And then it should print that 2, 3, it should print that 8, it should print the 4, it should print all those things to our log. I'm just kind of tapping in my log and seeing if it's got to a final bar so we can update. Last X then. Oh, and we only need to load this one time. Now, I don't know if that's caused me an issue or not. If last X then once task.load is equal to true. Okay, verify that. All right, so now we should be getting some firing events of the time sales provider. Make sure we have all the rest of this right. Symbol, true, bids and asks are false. It's false, but that becomes true once we get our, okay. All right, so 1s and 2s, 1s, there's a 2, but I think it said it had to be greater than 2, but there's a 3. So now let's wait for a final bar. And this is on a 1 minute chart. So I tell you what, because I'm not doing anything special with this chart, I do have this other information writing on the chart. We have the a break of a swing low. So these numbers here is when you have a break. This bar here broke below this swing low, and it broke below this swing low, and it broke below this swing low. So anytime we get a break below a swing low, it's taking all of the larger size orders and it's counting and telling me how many large size orders there are, or it's giving me a cumulative addition of the large size orders. All right, that should have gave us a new bar by now, and that's still not printing anything. So we still have something outstanding. All right, so now we got to go into a little bit of a debugging process. Here we go. Like I said, this is, I think it'd be great if I could just give it to you all at one time and show you that, my programming is perfect. It's not. And do I care for it to be there? Maybe, but it's not. And so in the meantime, I'm still learning along the way, learning to minimize mistakes as I go. All right, so what we're going to do is, we make sure that we still have it on. Okay, and then we're going to say, let me just check it one more time, make sure that nothing popped up. All right, nothing popped up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that we're actually getting this thing to fire off. Okay, so if we get into here, we need to, in order to process any of this or to have anything to print, we need to come into here. In order for us to come into here, we need to have a time of sales update reason to be that something was added. Okay, otherwise this file append might be acting funky. Okay, and it might not be printing our order string. Okay, so let's just make sure that we're are getting some updated events to happen. So I'm just going to print 5. I just use basic numbers. Okay, so you see 5 is being printed. So we know that we are coming into this region, into this block. And now that we know that we're coming into the block, we can evaluate here. Args.last data price is greater than last price, then order type is equal to ask. This is just setting our order type. So that isn't the only thing that we're looking for. Order type is inch bar persist and order string was inch bar persist. Now if the size is greater than or equal to iFilter, and the iFilter was set at 2, so we should be getting over this. We should be adding to our order string. We should be kind of concatenating it. All right, so let's see if we're coming into this block. In order for us to come into this block, we have to have an order size that's greater than or equal to iFilter. So we'll print large order. Uh-oh. Okay, so let's wait to see if we have anything show up there for large order. So again, when we get anything over 2, we should see large order being printed down here. Okay, so that's working. All right, so that being said, let me open that back up, make sure. Okay, nope, still nothing showing up. Okay, so large orders showing up. So we are coming into this block. Now we need to just verify that order string is happening. Okay, so we're just kind of working our way through. You can work your way from the beginning of what you're doing forward, or you can work your way from the end of what you're doing back. I don't really have a rhyme or reason which one I end up doing, but let's make sure that order string is right. Order string plus equals string.format. And we have 0, 1, 2, comma, bar date time to string, args data.size, and then order type. Close that off. And then we're also adding a new line. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. That's order string. Now we need to evaluate that we're coming into actually having bar status of 1 equaling 2, which just means we're on a final tick and we're on the last bar of the chart. Okay, so print last bar. Okay, so it already shows last bar that we're on the last bar. So I'm gonna move this down to a 10-second chart, just so we can get more bars being completed. And we're going to clear this. All right, so again, whenever we get a final bar, we should have something printing saying last bar. Okay, we just got a new bar, so last bar did print. When last bar printed, that way we know that we actually are calling on this method. So when we're calling on that method, so everything so far should be working. We're calling on that method. When we're calling on this method, when we come into the method, we are file appending the file name, which is this, and we're appending order string to this. So why isn't file append working? I don't know. Let's try printing order string. I told you file append didn't seem to be working right today when I first started messing with this even. So I hate to think that there's something going on with it that's keeping it from working properly. All right, so we're going to clear that. All right, so we know that we're printing on the final bar if we know that we're printing on our final bar. So now the question is whether or not we have larger orders, order size 2 or greater, on that bar. And if we do, then we should be printing our order string to the print log window. Okay, so now we got several in right there. So we should have something to print right now. Okay, and nothing printed. So that is peculiar. That's peculiar. Xprint. And we don't need interbar persist on. Print order string. Somehow order string is not getting updated, or is not. Let me turn on interbar persist. I don't think it needs that, but let's try it. Because interbar persist, you should only need that when you're trying to make intrabar calculations. And right now we're not making any intrabar calculations. We're only making calculations on the final bar, on the final tick of the chart. So yeah, something is not right here. And it seems to be hanging around order string. It's like order string isn't getting added to. Where is order string? Oh, yep, that's it. Guys, again, I am not a perfect man. Here's order string right here. I just completely overlooked it. Like I said in the previous script that I did, it's interbar persist. I think somehow in my brain I said that this was the order string over here, and I just didn't look. Just wasn't careful enough. Okay, so what's happening is, because this was not set up as interbar persist, that anything that was added to this within this method event handler, it was just going back to its default. It was going back to the last thing that was this variable. It can store information when the chart is run, and it will store it and hold it every time the chart is run. Just so happens this chart is only running, it's not running interbar persist, it's only running on the close of the bar. And if we are running it within the bar, which this does, this variable is not set up to hold information. It's not set up to persist the value that happens within the bar. Now it is, because we have it set as interbar persist. Okay. Now if you have methods and you have variables within the methods, then that's automatically interbar persist. But because this is a kind of what EasyLanguage Coach calls a module level variable that lives across the entire module, because this is a module level variable, we have to interbar persist it when we are wanting to store, save, call information, or add information from within a method, from within a intrabar calculation. Okay, so all you have to do is add interbar persist, verify, boom. All right, so we should be good now. All right, so let's wait to see what we get here. And we're down to the last 9 minutes before this session closes. We are, what, 4:51 Eastern Standard Time, so that is 3:51 Central Standard Time. And that means that the futures market is about to come to a conclusion for this session, for this U.S. session. All right, you see we already getting information here. So we have the bar date time, we have the size, and we have what it was. It was a bid. Okay, we got more information coming in. We have more transactions coming in. We got a 5 for an ask, 2 for an ask. Okay, and you see our text file is updating as well. Same information. Okay, so the good thing about this, like I said, now that we have it in the text file, we can go back and we can just save this all day long. We can save this all day long, and then on some day, on some script, we can reopen this and we can say, hey, if we had anything, or we can take this, drag, copy it, move it over to Excel, and then we can look through Excel and say, hey, if we had any values that were over, say 200 or something like that, then we want to take those numbers, we want to take those times and paint the bar or something like that, right? So if we're going to take this and we will insert a table, and then we're going to sort this column here from largest to smallest. So here we see that we had at 452 we had bids. Excuse me, we had an ask of 5, we had a bid of 5. So they kind of cancel each other out, right? But anyway, there's a lot that you can do with the data. I think it's important to get the data, to have access to the data. And like I said, that's one of the big things that I've always kind of sought to do when trying to learn the market, is to have access to the data. And so here, like I said, is a way that we have access to the data. You see we got an 8 there. Then if we go over to our other chart, we can find out where that 8 was, but we saw it on our chart as well. So where is the 8? Is that 8? Yeah. Where are my eyes going? 8 at 453.30. 453. Okay, so we're all the way back here. We got to go back. 453. And I don't see the 30 here. Now, that's another interesting thing that I have noticed. So we'll close with that. That's another interesting thing that I've noticed, is that this time and sales provider is not a perfect beast. You will see some information that pops up on one scrub of the information that doesn't show up on another scrub of the information. Now, I called TradeStation. I asked them about that, and they said that no, if it shows up on your time and sales provider, if it shows up in your time and sales window, then it should be accessible to your programs. Now, y'all help me understand why 453.30. Well, and I can tell you part of the reason why. So maybe I'll hold my tongue on that. This 453.30, this 8 at 453.30 says that it happened on this bar. And so I'm probably going to modify my script because that is good information. It happened on this bar. It doesn't mean it happened at this time, because this 453.30 bar, since we're on a 10-second bar, means that this transaction happened anywhere from 453 in 20 seconds up to 453 in 30 seconds. Okay, so if we go back, we really need to look anywhere from 453.20 up to 453.30. So 453.20, there it is. 453 and 27, there's your 8. Okay, but that still doesn't negate the fact that I have seen information show up here that doesn't show up, or isn't pulled, or isn't scrubbed by one of my other scripts. Is it a possibility that my other script was imperfect and I just missed the information? Yes, it is. But as for now, I'm just going to say that it's not all a one-to-one. It's pretty close, but it's not all a one-to-one. So anyway, we talked about a lot of things here. So I hope you guys got a little something out of this this video, and that you're able to make smarter trading decisions. I know I am steadily trying to make smarter trading decisions. All right, folks. Again, I appreciate you for staying with me. As always, if you don't mind hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, sharing the video with somebody you love. I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.